Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, to ask the Honourable Minister of Health and Wellness whether in regard to the COVID-19 pandemic in Mauritius, he will state the percentage of persons over 60 years old and with comorbidities who have been fully vaccinated. B, the vaccines to be received before 15 September 2021. C, when children aged 12 to 17 years old will be vaccinated. D, the number of severe adverse effects or deaths noted post-vaccination, including the Guillain-Barré syndrome and the vaccines involved. And E, the number of genomic sequencing tests for each variant performed on local cases since April 2021.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the vaccination plan for COVID-19 vaccine with the support of and the collaboration of the WHO and other stakeholders was approved by highlighting the target population of Mauritius, including Rodrigues and Agalega. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House was informed that it was expected to immunize 62% of the population, 62% of the population by August 2021. As a date, almost 650,000 persons, that is nearly 52% of the population and 64% of the adult population, representing 2 out of 3 adults, have been administered the first dose of the vaccine. More than 531,000, that is over 42% of the population, and 50% of the adults have been administered both doses. In reply to part A of the question, as at date, out of some 230,000 persons over 60 years old, 145,872 have been fully vaccinated, representing 63.4%. Moreover, out of some 280,000 persons with comorbidities, including the elderly, 169,462 have been fully vaccinated, representing 60.5%. The vaccination for these 2 categories of persons were carried out at the regional hospitals, at the dedicated vaccination center, and in the residential care homes. Mr. Speaker, sir, in reply to previous PNQs and parliamentary questions, I have already informed the House on the action taken by my ministry for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. As at now, my ministry has already received the following vaccines: 200,000 doses of Covishield, 200,000 doses of Covaxin vaccine, 1,100,000 doses of Sinopharm. Mr. Speaker, sir, these vaccines have been administered in a timely manner with due compliance to cold chain management, side effect monitoring, and expiry date, while ensuring no wastage of doses as compared to other countries. Mr. Speaker, sir, I see this opportunity to express my gratitude to Her Excellency, the High Commissioner of India, and the Government of India for facilitating the procurement of these vaccines at a time when India itself was in dire need of vaccine, as in other parts of the world. I also express my gratitude to His Excellency Ambassador of the People's Republic of China and the People's Republic of China for their support, and my thanks goes also to the United Arab Emirates, who has made available as donation 500 doses of Hayat vaccines through the 5,000 doses of Hayat vaccines through our ambassador. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition to the above, my ministry has also procured the following vaccines: 60,000 doses of component 1 of Sputnik 5 vaccine and 72,400 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine from the COVAX facility. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry has also placed orders for additional vaccines which are expected to be received as follows: COVAX facility, 38,200 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine by first week of August 2021. Sinopharm vaccine, 500,000 doses. The delivery is to be confirmed. African Union, 1,134,975 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine, delivery to be confirmed. COVAX facility, 165,600 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines to be confirmed. African Union again, 48,451 doses of Pfizer vaccine, delivery to be confirmed. And COVAX facility, 76,050 doses of Pfizer vaccine, delivery to be confirmed. My ministry, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade, and our missions abroad, is following with the manufacturers and suppliers of vaccines in order to expedite delivery thereof. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to place on record that we have been able to achieve these results through the coordinated efforts of the high-level committee chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister, who has been at the forefront since the very beginning of the pandemic. All the stakeholders have joined forces to ensure that the vaccination program is carried out as scheduled. Moreover, my ministry has enlisted the services of additional doctors and nurses on contract for the vaccination program. Furthermore, I wish to thank the frontliners who have carried out the program efficiently and the population at large for having responded to our plea to be vaccinated so as to protect each other. Mr. Speaker, sir, as regard to Part C of the question, as at now, children aged 12 to 17 years can only be administered the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines. As already announced, my ministry is expecting delivery of 124,501 doses of this vaccine from the African Union and the COVAX facility. Moreover, my ministry has made a request to the World Health Organization to approach the COVAX facility with a view to considering the supply of 140,000 doses of Pfizer vaccines in lieu of the allotment for other doses of vaccines. These vaccines would be used to vaccinate adolescents aged between 12 and 17 years. We are still awaiting confirmation of the delivery dates of these vaccines. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also informed that Janssen Laboratory, manufacturer of Johnson & Johnson vaccine, is currently carrying out clinical trials to assess whether the said vaccine can be administered to children between 12 to 17 years in the first instance and subsequently to those aged 3 to 7 years. My ministry is closely following the matter and a decision will be taken based on the findings and recommendations of the manufacturer. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that a pharmacovigilance mechanism has been put in place following the introduction of the COVID-19 vaccination program. The main objective of this mechanism is to facilitate early detection, investigation and analysis of adverse events following immunization and adverse events of special interest to ensure an appropriate and rapid response. The specific objectives of safety surveillance system are to detect serious adverse effects rapidly, to provide timely data that can be shared with relevant stakeholders for action, to generate data to characterize the safety of the COVID-19 vaccines in use, to identify, investigate, assess, and validate safety signals and recommend appropriate public health, to support public and stakeholder confidence in vaccines and immunization by ensuring high-quality safety surveillance. As part of this mechanism, the Pharmacovigilance Committee has been set up specifically for COVID-19 vaccine and is chaired by a specialist in internal medicine. The committee also comprises 3 members, of whom 1 is a medical practitioner in infection prevention and control disease, and 2 are pharmacists. Mr. Speaker, sir, in reply to Part D of the question, I'm informed by the Pharmacovigilance Committee that 1,153 cases of adverse event following immunization have been reported as at date. 70 cases were reported as serious by treating doctor. A serious case is defined by the WHO as one causing hospitalization. These 70 cases were hospitalized and all have recovered. No deaths were reported. 41 investigations were assessed by the Causality Committee as at date. 29 cases are still being assessed by the Causality Committee. The Pharmacovigilance Committee reports all investigations to the Causality Committee, whose role is to determine whether there is any association between the reported adverse event following immunization and the vaccine. The Causality Committee comprises 2 specialists in internal medicine, 1 specialist in chest medicine, and 1 specialist in infectious disease. 4 cases of adverse events were attributed to COVID-19 vaccine. 2 cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome were reported by the treating doctor to the Pharmacovigilance Committee. 1 patient was administered Sinopharm vaccine and 1 patient administered Covishield vaccine. The outcome of the Causality Assessment Committee for the 2 patients with Guillain-Barré syndrome are as follows according to WHO AEFI Causality Assessment. Case A1A, upon discharge from private clinic, case A1 is walking with support, and case B1, upon discharge from hospital, case BB1 is ambulant with minimal support. The patient had a previous history of Guillain-Barré syndrome. The manufacturer of Sinopharm vaccine was requested for further information regarding association, if any, between the vaccine and Guillain-Barré syndrome. The manufacturer has stated that there has been no report of association of Sinopharm with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part E of the question, I'm informed that genomic sequencing tests started with samples referred abroad in January 2021, and since then, my ministry has developed the capacity to perform sequencing locally. Mauritius is among the few countries in Africa doing sequencing on site. Within a short period, procurement of equipment, reagents, and training of staff in bioinformatics has been carried out at Central Health Laboratory. Prior to the local setup, samples for sequencing have also been sent abroad to WHO collaborating centers in UK and South Africa. As from April 2021, a total of 239 cases of COVID-19 have been successfully sequenced. Of these, 209 were local cases and 30 were imported cases. Results of the sequencing have shown that all 209 local cases have lineage B11318. This lineage is neither a variant of concern nor a variant of interest according to the WHO and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Among the 30 imported cases, no case of alpha or gamma variants have been reported. 4 cases of beta and 18 cases of delta variants have been reported. 8 other variants have been detected. Out of the 239 cases, 71 have already been sequenced at Central Health Laboratory and the others referred abroad.
Thank you. I must say it's my turn to be pleasantly surprised with the direct answer from the Minister. Can I firstly, Mr. Speaker, ask the Minister whether the statement of the Deputy Prime Minister in March 2021 that they would require 60% of the population to be vaccinated before 1st of October for the opening, whether that still stands good, or given the situation with Delta and Beta, etc., you are looking for a much greater percentage of the population to be vaccinated before opening.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that forecast that we've done earlier still stand good, and I should also add that, in fact, we are before schedule, and as I have already reported in my reply earlier, that we have already at this time, at this moment, we have already vaccinated more than 52% of the population, and the rate the vaccination is being done daily, we are expected to reach 60% before.
To ask the Honourable Minister, given the experience of other countries, we take Seychelles, 86% have been fully vaccinated, UK 90% vaccinated anyway, France, etc., etc., whether this percentage of 60% is not, as it appears, far too low to generate comfort in the population as to protection against the Delta variant and the Beta variant. It's a serious question, eh? And whether, therefore, Mr. Speaker, we should not seek to get a much greater percentage before we fully open the country.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the percentage of vaccination, the forecast is 60% by this time, that is before 1st of October. But the vaccination program will continue, obviously. This vaccination program will continue, and we will be expected to go beyond 70–75%. And it doesn't mean that once we reach 60%, the vaccination program will stop. It's not the case. The vaccination program will continue even at a time, as I have reported earlier, even if it comes that we'll have to vaccinate the adolescents, the children, the vaccination will. There is no question that the vaccination is going to stop after we reach 60%. It's an ongoing process and it will continue.
We respect, that is not the question. The question is not whether we stop, but whether we should start on the 1st of October, given that if we have only 60% of vaccination in the population. I like the Honourable Minister to refer to cases in Seychelles, for instance, where there is a huge pandemic going on at the moment, whereby 86% of the population, with 90 deaths in Seychelles, already vaccinated. So I would like to ask the Minister if you not reconsider the percentage of local people vaccinated, which is the trigger for the opening, and whether that would not be safe today to say that we would need to go to 60%, 70, or even, not 60, but 90% before opening, and special effort should therefore not be done in the months to come to obtain the vaccines. That's my question.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me first remind the honourable member that vaccines, anybody who will do the vaccine, it will protect from not getting a serious form of the disease. It is understood that if the population is vaccinated, the presence of COVID-19 will be there, but the percentage who will have serious form of the disease will reduce considerably. I believe he knows very well in the international figures, cases might be rising, even in Seychelles, as he has already reported, but serious cases keep on decreasing. In referring to Seychelles, we have also to consider whether the Seychelles, at the time of opening the borders, have they waited for both doses to be vaccinated? Or at what point of time? You should also take into consideration that at a point of time when you have not done both doses and they have already opened, so all that there are different points to be taken into account while comparing to Seychelles.
Mr. Speaker, I will table a press conference by the Seychelles Authority showing that 16% of deaths there were from vaccinated persons. But my question here, Mr. Speaker, is concerning a red list of countries where the Delta and the Beta variant are so prevalent that most countries, you take UK, you take USA, France, etc., this red list of countries where these two variants are prevalent are in fact included in the red list, and travel inward travel is virtually prohibited. I look at Mauritius and there's no red list, only Brazil, I think, is Brazil and South Africa at the moment. Whether this red list should not be extended now, and especially on the 1st of October, to protect the population.
Mr. Speaker, so let me come with the first part of the question, where the honourable member of the leader of the opposition has again compared us to Seychelles. We should see also what has been the testing capacity of Seychelles, what is also the treatment facilities offered in terms of quarantine, in terms of other treatment facilities. And before jumping to the conclusion that Seychelles might have been vaccinated and there are positive cases over there, and that has been attributed to, there are cases that there are death, all that. So I think there are different elements in this has to be also pointed out. Now, in the second case, especially referring to the Delta variants, Mr. Speaker, sir, our is specifically that we have devised protocols concerning the entry of passengers in Mauritius, be it in terms of testing, be it in terms of quarantine facilities. So while comparing Mauritius or any other countries around the world where there is a local transmission of Delta variants, and what has been the, in the very beginning, whether these people are tested before entering into that country, whether tests have been carried out, and what are the different facilities. So just vaguely, to put the comparison, it doesn't justify. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, sir, for Delta variants, I believe that they have been, we all know the all information about Delta variants, especially about the high rate of infectivity, and also about whether Delta variants are really patients are really developing serious form of Delta variants, and those information is still, experts are working on it. So we can't jump to the conclusion about like bringing a little bit of kind of fear whether Delta variant is, what would be the outcome of Delta variants. We have to be very, very careful in making such comments.
At this point in time, Mr. Speaker, the population can only hope that the government will be very prudent with this, and this is the whole point of the question. Mr. Speaker, now concerning vaccinations.
Order.
Concerning vaccinations, I know that most of the deliveries in the months to come, or in the week, whatever, are to be confirmed. There's hardly, I think, only one small delivery which has been confirmed for August. The rest are to be confirmed. Whereas I think he informed the House some time ago that the Pfizer vaccine, which would be used for the youth, would be received in August, is now no longer the case?
Mr. Speaker, sir, this doesn't depend upon the government. We have already signed our vaccines procurement with the different agencies. The different agencies, government is being transparent and informing the population when those agencies will make available any vaccines in Mauritius. It has been the case since the very beginning. Nothing like we have a pre-order delivery time, unfortunately, but yet government has been able, since the very beginning, procure the vaccine, made the vaccine available in Mauritius, and at the same time, the vaccines, so far, that's why today we have already vaccinated, we are reaching 60% of the population. Now, we'll be expecting agencies, we have signed agreements and commitment with them. I'm sure that once an agency has given us the commitment of delivering vaccines to Mauritius, that will be done. But of course, the time schedule, we don't know, but it will be coming in the near future.
The Honourable Minister himself mentioned Pfizer will be received in August. This is why my question is concerning the young, you're getting briefed, the young persons, whether we should not wait for the secondary school children to be vaccinated I was hoping the Pfizer would arrive soon, before opening the schools, but there seems to be a terrible confusion at the moment and great anxiety in the minds of parents as to the opening of the secondary schools and the situation there.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I believe that the Honourable Leader of Opposition is fully aware that the school program calendar has been already delayed by half a year. We all, especially parents who are having children attending school, we should at the same time have a balance upon delaying school calendar and at the same time looking for the vaccines. So there is this balance that have been made, and especially even schools are opening, there have been we have devised specific protocol for that. We understand that there are some schools where we have detected cases, but those specific protocols, they are met, those at school can still start giving the academic session can start, but at the same time looking at the safety and the safety of the children. Now, I believe that the Honourable Leader of Opposition, again, he has referred to international journals and international recommendations, guidelines about what is the impact of COVID-19 among children. Now, we know all that children, they are least affected, and at the same time, children, they do not develop the severe form of the illness. It has been the case in Mauritius. We've seen that the percentage of adolescents and children being infected, and also the recovery rate among those children. So taking into consideration the impact of COVID-19, both in terms of starting schools and at the same time protect the children. So this balance has been made. That's why we are in this direction.
Speaker, may I also, Honourable Minister, again, we have, I think, 6 schools closed this morning. That represents many thousands of students. And I am also informed by the school authorities that in some schools there are 40 to 60% absenteeism in secondary schools. Therefore, given this situation, would it not be better, and given the upsurge in the number of cases, which I'm sure you will agree with, would it not be better for these few weeks for the schools to be closed, for the children to be given, all of them, online courses, because at the moment you have very few, not few, but many people who don't attend, and schools are closed, and these people are not getting any education. So would it not be better, during this upsurge in cases, to have a uniform online schooling for a few weeks until the vaccines come, hopefully, or until the situation gets better?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I believe the answer the Honourable Leader of Opposition has already given. Obviously, the school, they are not running at full capacity. School, the Ministry of Education has devised a way where at the same time online courses are being run, at the same time schools are at a reduced capacity. That also impacted about the attendance at the school. But what is the principle behind this? That children should engage in their schooling as from early, and obviously it will all come about what would be, our vaccination program is ongoing. That's why we have, there is regulation on the vaccination for the health, for the education personnel. So in line, taking all these into consideration, the school, the academic session has started, and obviously with time, depending upon the situation, schools will have to devise. There is no one formula at this moment to say whether we have to delay school, even if this is being, if we consider such, how long that would be. I think the right balance is to start the school, let the academic session start at this time, and obviously putting a balance between online schooling and those who are attending school.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Minister for giving the figures for the serious adverse effects following vaccination. But I understand that the international protocol, the WHO protocol, requires for these figures to be regularly published in the country so that people are aware of even suspected adverse cases. My first question, therefore, is why are we not following the protocol to routinely publish figures on adverse effects of vaccination for the population to be aware of this?
Mr. Speaker, sir, all information related to vaccines, adverse effects, at any time, all these information are being provided to anybody, as you have asked the question, to anybody who is willing. But at the same time, of course, it is disseminated to WHO and CDC, and in the first instance, then they were going to publish all these. Now, we are giving all the information to all those agencies who are concerned, and I don't find, even up to now, we are ready to, at any time, to give information about adverse events.
Time over. Prime Minister's question time. Honourable Ratim.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius aims at becoming a regional maritime hub in the Indian Ocean. In line with government policy, the vision of the port is to provide modern infrastructure in anticipation of demand, to streamline port processes, to enhance security, and to consolidate environment protection. Given the crucial role played by the Port Louis Harbour in the economic development of the country, government has embarked on the expansion, diversification, and modernization of the port infrastructure to support its economic activities. In 2016, the Mauritius Ports Authority commissioned a port master plan study to define the land use and infrastructure development up to the horizon 2040. Most of the projects recommended have already been implemented, while others are in the process of implementation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Director General of the Mauritius Ports Authority that among the projects recommended in the Port Master Plan 2016 are the construction of a fishing port comprising a breakwater and fishing quay at Fort William, as well as the construction of a cruise terminal building. The rationale for the construction of a breakwater at the north of the reclaimed area at Fort William was to provide a tranquil basin for the mooring of ocean-going fishing vessels. These non-working fishing vessels are currently berthed at multiple commercial quays in the harbour. This gives rise to security issues in the port area, mainly due to the movement in and out of their crew. Following an open advertised bidding exercise, Mrs. CWP Engineering FZ LLC, an Italian firm based in Dubai, in association with GIB Mauritius and Globe Ocean, a French firm, was awarded a contract on 29th October 2018 to undertake the consultancy services comprising technical feasibility, planning, design, preparation of tender documents, and supervision of works for the fishing port at a total cost of $780,420 US dollars and 20 cents, exclusive of VAT. The consultants carried out the preliminary design and accordingly recommended a development layout which they estimated at 2.3 billion rupees exclusive of VAT, for the full scheme comprising the breakwater and shore protection, mooring facilities, dredging, and land reclamation over an area of about 10 hectares, 300 meters of fishing quay, and 50 meters service quay. On 17th of June 2019, the Mauritius Ports Authority launched a request for the pre-qualification of contractors exercise through the Central Procurement Board. Thereafter, in view of funding constraints, it was decided to review the scope of the project and to construct the breakwater and shore protection, land reclamation, mooring facilities, and a service quay of 50 meters only, and to consider the implementation of the 300 meters fishing quay under the public-private partnership arrangement. Accordingly, the cost estimates as submitted by the consultants were revised to 1.75 billion rupees for the reduced scope of this project. Following the review downwards of the scope of the project, the Mauritius Ports Authority, acting on the advice of the Central Procurement Board, annulled the request for the pre-qualification of contractors exercise on the ground that the scope of the project had significantly changed. Subsequently, on 12 December 2019, a fresh pre-qualification exercise for the revised scope of works, comprising mainly land reclamation, shore protection and breakwater structures, dredging for creation of a tranquil basin, mooring facilities, and the 50 meters service quay was launched under the aegis of the Central Procurement Board. 12 potential bidders have been pre-qualified. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed that the final preliminary design report was submitted by the consultant in June 2020. The report confirmed the technical feasibility of the breakwater at Fort William, the dredging and land reclamation, the creation of a mooring area of some 100 ocean-going fishing vessels, the construction of the 50 meters service quay, as well as the development of a fishing quay of 300 meters by private promoters at a later stage. Mr. Speaker, sir, in line with the provisions of the legislations in force, an environmental impact assessment license is required to enable the project to be implemented. Accordingly, the consultant had concurrently undertaken the study for the environmental impact assessment. The EIA report was finalized on 7th of February 2021, and on 31st of March 2021, the Mauritius Ports Authority applied for the environmental impact assessment license to undertake the project. The decision from the Department of Environment is awaited. The consultant is in the process of completing the detailed design of the various project components and is also finalizing the bid documents for the breakwater, the dredging and land reclamation, the creation of a mooring area, and the construction of the 50 meters service quay. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is to be pointed out that following the outbreak of the COVID-19 global pandemic, the consultants have suffered unavoidable delays in their home office in Italy and Dubai due to restrictions on their normal operations. This has impacted severely on their resource planning and the overall implementation plan of the project. I am now informed that the Mauritius Ports Authority is currently reviewing its strategy in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Speaker, sir, as regards the cruise terminal building project, I am also informed that with the rising trend in cruise passenger arrivals, it was considered that there was a real potential to develop Port Louis Harbour as a home port for cruise tourism, and also as a port of call which would benefit the economies of not only Mauritius, but also of the regional island countries. Accordingly, the Mauritius Ports Authority embarked on the project for the construction of a cruise terminal building at Les Salines. In 2014, a bidding exercise was launched to appoint a consultant for the design and supervision of construction of the cruise terminal facility. Messrs. Beamelo, Ajamil and partners, in association with GIB Mauritius Limited, was awarded the consultancy services contract in the same year. Messrs. Beamelo, Ajamil and partners is an architectural firm based in the USA, which has in its portfolio the planning and design of a number of cruise terminals worldwide. The approved project proposal provides for a building of floor area of about 7,500 square meters, which will be an iconic structure having the capacity to handle peaks of 4,000 cruise passengers. The sizing was based on the consultant's forecast of 40,000 cruise passenger arrivals in 2020. Following completion of the design and preparation of the tender documents by the consultants, bids were floated in April 2018 under the aegis of the Central Procurement Board for the selection of a contractor for the construction works. However, only 2 bids were assessed to be technically responsive, but their bid prices were excessively above the estimated cost of the project. A new bidding exercise was accordingly launched on 25th of April 2019. Following evaluation of the bids received, the contract was awarded to China Road and Bridge Corporation, PADCO Joint Venture, on 21st of August 2019 for the sum of 769,173,833 rupees, inclusive of VAT. The contract between the Mauritius Ports Authority and the contractor was signed on 30th of October 2019. The contractor mobilized his personnel and works commenced on site on 4th of September 2019. Works progress was, however, seriously impacted by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in China in early 2020 and the lockdown in Mauritius during the period March to May 2020. As the contractor had sourced most of its supplies and materials from China, the procurement of materials and other supplies was also impacted. Subsequently, on 7th of July 2020, PADCO, the minority partner of the joint venture, entered into voluntary administration. That situation further adversely impacted on the progress of the construction works with a drastic reduction of the workforce on site. Moreover, the placing of PADCO into voluntary administration resulted in legal and contractual issues between the joint venture partners, which brought the works virtually to a standstill. Following lengthy discussions with the assistance of the Attorney General's Office, the complex legal and contractual issues were resolved between the Mauritius Ports Authority, the China Road and Bridge Corporation, and the administrator of PATCO. During the discussions, it was agreed, inter alia, that an extension of time without cost would be granted for the completion of the project. The revised completion date would be 30th of November 2021, taking also into account the delays due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, the joint venture issues between the two partners were finally settled amicably in December 2020, and works restarted on 4th of January 2021 by the contractor. However, work progress was again affected by the lockdown from 10th of March to beginning of April 2021 due to the resurgence of COVID-19 in Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, the site activities are presently being impacted anew following the detection of 4 COVID-19 positive cases among the site workers. This has caused the site to be closed since 16th of July 2021 until further notice, in accordance with the sanitary protocol of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. As at the end of June 2021, approximately 65% of the works have been completed. In view of the prevailing situation, it is now foreseen that the works under the construction contract would be completed around February 2022.
Speaker, sir, being given that the Honourable Prime Minister has already taken 15 minutes on that question, I'm not going to propose any supplementary questions.
You asked for a question
No.
where I have given you all. In fact, I have answered to all your supplementary questions, probably.
If you have no supplementary, I will give one supplementary to Honorable Danu.
Thank you, Speaker, sir. Can the Honourable Prime Minister tell us with regards to the breakwater and fishing port project, whether a geotechnical survey has been carried out? If yes, who was selected and how was the company selected also?
Well, there have been the consultants, Mr. Speaker, sir, have recommended a series of geotechnical investigations to be carried out, and survey works, I understand, have been undertaken. The bids were floated through an open international bidding exercise, and the scope of works included, amongst others, bathymetric survey of the approaches to Port-Louis entrance and navigation channel, and Codan Basin and topographic survey of Fort William reclamation, including existing reclaimed platform and revetment structures. The geotechnical investigations would include the drilling of landslide borehole, the drilling of marine boreholes, excavation of test pits, and in situ and laboratory tests. Now, I have this information that when the bids were floated through an open international bidding method on 5th of February 2020, and at the closing date of 17th of March 2020, 3 bids were received, and the prices also, and so the bidders were Water Research Company Limited, Coastal Marine Construction and Engineering Limited, Sotravic Limited, and the contract was awarded to Water Research Company Limited, as they were the lowest in terms of the price quoted, and also that the they satisfied the criteria that were laid in the bidding document.
Honorable Bélanger.
B782.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the Special Mobile Force does not have a proper gymnasium and that the current barracks in use as gymnasium is inadequate. The space is limited and cannot accommodate modern physical training apparatus, and therefore the SMF personnel cannot optimize the use of the gymnasium. The objective of providing a new gymnasium is to accommodate all existing and new physical fitness apparatus in order to make available optimum training to the SMF troops, so as to keep them physically fit and ensure a high state of preparedness and readiness at any point in time, especially as physical fitness is one of the most important prerequisites for an SMF officer to perform his duties efficiently. In fact, the SMF, being a vital component of the Mauritius Police Force, must be provided with necessary training facilities to maintain the highest standards of operational preparedness for the security and safety of the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed that the location of the ex-wooden married quarters along Willoughby Road, Vakwa, had been identified in 2014 for the construction of the new gymnasium, as it is adjacent to the SMF main gate at Abercrombie Barracks and therefore easily accessible to SMF personnel. The site comprises 7 blocks which have wooden structures and roof covered with asbestos slates. As the blocks were in a very bad state, their demolition was recommended by the then Ministry of Public Infrastructure as far back as April 2008, that is, prior to the decision taken to construct a modern gymnasium on the site. In fact, following a survey carried out by the said ministry at that time, the latter recommended the pulling down of the buildings as these were beyond economical repairs for the following reasons: the presence of asbestos, heavy leakages, the presence of termites, damaged false ceilings, and cracked wooden planks. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed the SMF Married Quarters complex were not listed as a national heritage in accordance with the National Heritage Act of 2003, and therefore the SMF had no obligation to preserve same. Nevertheless, the SMF consulted the then Ministry of Arts and Culture in October 2011, prior to the demolition of the SMF Abercrombie Married Quarters. Subsequently, the SMF decided on its own to preserve and renovate 2 of these buildings because of their historical value. One of the buildings, which was located opposite the main gate of the SMF, has been renovated and is actually occupied by the SMF Centralized Training Wing. One more block, which has been partly renovated, is being used for urban search and rescue training of the Disaster Response Unit of the SMF. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed that, as at now, 2 blocks have been pulled down as part of the project for the construction of the gymnasium, which has been designed in such a way that it blends harmoniously with the surrounding environment. The works, which have started in June 2020, are expected to be completed in August 2021.
It may be important to note that the cultural and historical significance of this region of Vakwa is not only limited to the ancient buildings, but also to the open fields. So can the Honourable Prime Minister give an undertaking to the House to the effect that his government will not proceed with any further eventual construction project which will negatively impact or cause the loss of the unique historical structures in Vakwa, especially those along Willoughby Road, and the more so that needful will be done to ensure that their preservation, unlike what we have witnessed with regards to the former Dr. Maurice Curie school. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, I must say I do not really understand the object of this question. What is the honourable member wants government to do? That we just keep everything as it is today and we don't undertake any project in that area? This is what it seems, what I have understood, unless the honourable member probably could be more specific. We are talking about this particular project of a gymnasium. I have given, I think because I have given all the information that is required, I don't see the question that relates to the specific project of building the gymnasium. The honourable member is asking me now about the whole of that region of Vakwa. I don't think it is appropriate.
Okay.
If you have a specific issue to raise with regard to a project in that area, I will provide you with the information. And that is why I understand when I provided all the information before to a previous honourable member, there was no supplementary question.
Thank you. The Honourable Prime Minister referred to a report. Can he table the report, and can he state whether public have had the opportunity to give their views, and if no, why?
Which report is the honourable member referring to?
He referred to a report with regards to the heritage impact assessment.
I never mentioned that. You didn't? You haven't listened to my answer? I think you should listen properly to what I've stated.
Order! You don't have the right to speak there.
Which report are you talking about?
Done.
Well, there is.
No, don't engage. Don't engage.
If
in
you had
conversation.
listened carefully, I had stated that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure has carried out a survey and had submitted a report and has recommended that the buildings be pulled down, and that is since, let me finish.
Wait, don't engage in conversation.
You think this is a debate? You have put a question. Will you give me enough time to answer? So that maybe if I give you all the information, there will be no supplementary again. So this report, this survey has been conducted as far back as April 2008. And therefore, I will look into that, what are the recommendations, and if need be, I will seek advice to see whether it can be tabled, this report.
Wait. No comment. Honourable. Order! Order! Order!
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, is it in order for the honourable member to say that trop mari, toi? Is it in order?
Really? Wait. Order! What? Order! I didn't hear that word. Now that I hear that word being said, Honourable Béranger, be kind, be gentle. Please, withdraw the word first. Withdraw.
Is it in order to state that I should learn how to ask questions?
There's no discussion.
À la prendre pour...
Order! Order. You withdraw. Oh, then you make a point of order, Honorable Béranger.
I want him to withdraw what he said, and then I will withdraw.
Order! I'm helping you to get out of this problem. Withdraw the word, and if there is anything else you would like to add, come with a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I withdraw what I've said, but I want him to withdraw what he said also.
Wait. You withdraw without any condition. Then you come with a point of order. Whatever you have to say, I'll see if there is a point of order, then I'll remedy to it. Please. Without condition, just withdraw.
He said it already.
You already withdrawn. You've already withdrawn without condition.
I've already withdrawn, Mr. Speaker,
Without
sir.
condition. Okay. Now you have a point of order. We listen.
Thank you. The honourable member state before me that Alapran pose question, and I do not think that this is in order as well as the Prime Minister stated.
Wait. There is only one speaker here. I can see many speakers. One former. You want a point of clarification?
No, a point of order.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, sir, not knowing how to put a question in this House is wasting the time of the House. We have very serious matter to deal with. I believe members of this House should know how to put supplementary questions. That's why I said that remark.
Member, unfortunately, he should know his standing order. He cannot comment on the way someone puts question.
Right now, the time is 12:33. Time is over. I'll respond to all these standing orders at later stage. Question time.
I think I'll also
No,
ask
I
another
already ruled.
additional.
I already ruled time is over. Then any point of order, please, learn this, and this applies for all honorable members. Any point of order should go through that slot. So the slot is gone. Now it's parliamentary question. I already said that I look into the matter and I'll come back at a later stage.
My,
No, I can't hear you well, believe me.
yeah, I said that if you can give me just half a second to tell you what was said by the Honourable Minister.
I will
and
review everything, don't you worry. Don't instruct me.
I'm not saying-
As I always tell honourable members, the Speaker doesn't receive orders. The Speaker will look into all these points of orders and will come with a statement at a later stage. Please, allow me to work. Honourable Longchill.
791, please.
Mr. Speaker, in the evening of 1st July 2021, with great concern, I took cognizance of a video clip circulating on the social media wherein Mrs. Ores was making heinous and unacceptable comments towards people with disabilities. I immediately requested the senior chief executive of my ministry to view the video clip and to take prompt actions to report the matter to the police. On Friday, 2nd July 2021, at around 9:15 a.m., 2 officers of our ministry reported the case to the Popenesi police station. A letter was also addressed by my ministry to the Commissioner of Police on the same day to take actions as deemed appropriate. I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the same day, that is 2nd July 2021, Mrs. R.S. was arrested and appeared before the District Court of Mocha on a provisional charge of breach of ICTA. She was remanded to police cells on the same day. On 6th July 2021, she was bailed out, and upon furnishing a security of 8,000 rupees and a recognition of 50,000 rupees. The inquiry is still ongoing.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Suite à ce dangereux dérapage, il y a eu la réaction immédiate de la ministre. On sait que le fils de Madame R.S. a présenté des excuses. Par contre, l'Equal Opportunity Commission n'a eu aucune réaction alors qu'on pensait qu'elle était justement là pour cela. La ministre pourrait-elle indiquer à la Chambre que fait son ministère pour stopper la provocation à la haine envers les personnes en situation de handicap et pour valoriser et sensibiliser le public sur la situation de handicap? Merci.
Well, your supplementary question is very far from the original question. Your original question is very specific. But I can say that empowerment of persons with disabilities, make sure that their rights are being respected is one of the top priorities of my ministry. And we do have a sensitization campaign on a regular basis. And I must also say that at the beginning of this year, we have had large consultation workshop with different stakeholders, different ministries, the private sector, the public, to sensitize the public at large on the rights of persons with disabilities, and also at the same time see to it that they are being looked at properly.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Cette question, inévitablement, nous ramène au Disability Bill. Il y a une incompréhension totale de la part des ONG et de la société civile autour du retard à l'introduction de ce projet de loi qui est au bureau de l'Attorney General depuis 2016, c'est-à-dire 5 ans. La ministre peut-elle indiquer à la Chambre les réelles raisons derrière ce retard? Merci.
Well, once again, this question is very specific, but since you have, Honourable Member has put questions on the status of the disability bill, I'm more than happy to reply, because on this side of the House, we are also very much concerned about this projet de loi, but at the same time, you do realize that it is a very complex piece of legislation. I can safely say that the disability bill is presently being carefully examined by the State Law Office. It is in progress. You have to understand also that there are many stages through before a bill becomes a law. So, you are from the Labour Party, Honourable Member. I don't want to be nasty, but since you have put the question, so your party also promised to introduce very important piece of legislation, but those pieces of legislation have never seen the day. I presume that your intentions were good, but I guess that your party do meet constraints and challenges, which explain that important piece of legislation, like the Freedom of Information Bill. The Children's Bill was announced almost 10 years back, the electoral reform, and all these pieces of legislation have not seen the day. In the government, let me finish, in the government program of the Labour Party, 2012-2015, you announced that a disability bill will be introduced. You were in power 3 years. No bill, no draft has been, we have not seen the draft, we have not seen the bill. So I will urge Honourable Member to be patient. We are working on the bill, but as I have said, making new policies and laws is usually a slow process involving a number of stages during which key issues are being discussed. So we can't haste with a piece of legislation and then we find ourselves in difficulty when we reach the stage of implementation. So we have to make sure that when a bill becomes law, it is enforceable.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais juste dire au départ que je ne me permettrai jamais de politiser un sujet aussi sentier. Jamais, jamais. Monsieur le Président, Maurice a signé la Convention des Nations Unies relative aux droits des personnes en situation de handicap. Dans notre législation, il existe des termes dégradants et humiliants, tels que, écoutez bien, incapacitated voter à l'encontre des personnes en situation de handicap. Entre autres, est-ce que le gouvernement est conscient? Yeah.
Is your question directly related to the original question?
Yeah, I'm coming. Est-ce que le gouvernement, la ministre, pourrait-elle indiquer à la Chambre si le gouvernement est conscient de l'urgence de cette loi, surtout dans les circonstances actuelles? Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, I have just said I am happy to hear that the honourable member is not politicizing the present subject. We all know on this side of the House, I have said it 100 of times, on this side of the House, we are doing our level best to bring this piece of legislation in Parliament. But as I have said, you need to be patient. We are doing the needful. I can't do more than that. There is a process. I have said there is a process. Making new policies and laws is usually a slow process involving a number of stages. So we have to respect all those stages. We can't like bring a piece of legislation in a short period of time. So we have to be very careful. All the policy issues need to be discussed thoroughly. And as I have said, we are doing the needful. I'm not saying we are not bringing the bill in Parliament. It is like the children's bill. As I have said, you announced the children's bill 10 years back, and we have brought it. So this is an example to be taken into consideration.
Table has been advised that PQ 798 will be replied by Honorable Minister of Labour, Human Resources, Development and Training, Minister of Commerce and Protection. PQ B790, B825, B844, B845 have been withdrawn. Next question.
792.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed that ivermectin is a broad-spectrum antiparasitic agent like Xantel with reported in vitro antiviral activity for RNA viruses such as HIV, dengue fever, and West Nile virus. Ivermectin acts by inhibiting the NSP9 protein of the virus. This non-specific effect also observed in vitro on SARS-CoV for the first time by an Australian team in April 2020. It requires very high plasma concentrations, which are difficult to achieve without causing significant toxicity in humans. The 2020 study demonstrated in vitro that in cell cultures with SARS-CoV-2, the insertion of ivermectin reduced the viral load by a factor of 5,000 after 48 hours. However, results published in numerous clinical trials to date have clearly shown the absence of benefits at achievable doses of ivermectin without the risk of serious side effects in humans. This prompted the WHO to issue an unfavorable opinion on the use of ivermectin for the treatment of SARS-CoV-2 in humans on 31st March 2021. The WHO stated that current data on the use of ivermectin for the treatment of patients with COVID-19 is not conclusive. Until more data becomes available, the WHO recommends the use of ivermectin only for clinical trials.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. L'honorable ministre est-il informé que certains médecins du privé recommandent l'utilisation de l'ivermectine dans le traitement contre la COVID-19 et en ont même ouvertement fait état dans les médias? De ce fait, peut-on connaître la position de son ministère par rapport à cette prise de position de certains médecins?
Mr. Speaker, sir, all patients suffering from COVID-19 are treated in our centers, and no private practitioners is allowed to treat COVID-19. Our doctors, our team of experts, they've been treating COVID-19 since last year, and we will stand guided by their recommendation. If ever they decide that ivermectin should be used to treat COVID-19 patients, the ministry will provide such medication.
Le ministre peut-il nous dire si l'hydroxychloroquine est toujours utilisée dans le traitement contre la COVID-19 ou y a-t-il d'autres types de traitements qui sont utilisés actuellement et si oui, de nous préciser lesquels?
Mr. Speaker, sir, no, the chloroquine is not being used for the treatment of COVID-19, but in previous parliamentary questions, I've already given the whole treatment protocol being used for the different, for the treatment of COVID-19. I will table it, later on this information again.
You have 4 questions. Let's move on. Next one.
B793.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I would like to start by sending my salutations to the Mauritian delegation who is currently in Tokyo for the Olympic Games, and by conveying my warmest congratulations and encouragement to the 2 boxers, namely Mr. Mervyn Clare and Mr. Richard Nokola, who have won their bouts in their respective categories. As at date, they have thus qualified to participate in the quarter and 8th finals, respectively. My best wishes go also to the 4 Mauritian athletes who will participate in the Tokyo Paralympic Games from 24th August to 5th September 2021. Allez, Maurice. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the PQ, with your permission, I'm tabling the relevant information.
Monsieur le Président, à mon tour de saluer nos athlètes qui participent actuellement aux Jeux Olympiques et je leur souhaite bonne chance. Et de ce fait, vu que le ministre est en train de déposer, encore une fois, je n'ai pas d'informations sous les yeux, mais peut-on savoir, vu que des sommes importantes, peut-être l'honorable ministre pourrait-il nous dire, même s'il a déposé les informations requises, les sommes qui ont été accordées à la MFA pour les années financières que j'ai demandées. Et peut-il nous dire s'il y a un bilan qui a été fait par rapport à toute cette somme qui a été accordée et par rapport à l'utilisation de cet argent et si l'objectif qui avaient été fixés, les objectifs qui avaient été fixés ont été atteints?
Monsieur le Président, premièrement, en ce qui s'agit, puisque la question parle des clubs de première et de deuxième division, laissez-moi informer à la Chambre que pour l'année financière 2017-2018, une somme totale de 19 200 000 roupies avait été allouée aux différents clubs de football, incluant ceux de National Super League, Division 1 and 2. Pour l'année financière 2018-2019, une somme totale, encore une fois, de 19 200 000 roupies avait été allouée aux clubs et non à la fédération. Et pour l'année 2019-2020, pareil, 19 200 000. Pour l'année 2020-2021, donc cela a diminué avec la réduction de budget et une somme de 13 500 000 roupies avait été allouée au club. Pour répondre à l'honorable membre, en 2017, une somme de 4 673,60 avait été allouée à la fédération. En 2018 et 2019, une somme de 7 433 881 avait été allouée à la fédération. Et en 2019-2020, 9 800 513 roupies avaient été alloués à la fédération. En 2020-2021, 0. Pas le moindre sou avait été alloué à la fédération. Nous connaissons tous les différents soucis que nous avons eus. Et il faut dire que depuis 2017, les sommes allouées à la fédération étaient surtout en vue de préparation par rapport aux Jeux des îles, où l'équipe nationale devait faire plusieurs stages à l'étranger. Et tout cela, bien sûr, coûte énormément. Donc, c'était principalement dans ce but que les sommes avaient été allouées à la MFA.
Monsieur le Président, oui, puisque pour la prochaine saison, le ministère des Sports soutiendra financièrement les clubs, comme ce fut le cas ces dernières saisons, même si probablement avec une baisse dans les allocations, car le montant total budgété a subi une réduction de 3 millions. L'honorable ministre peut-il nous dire si son ministère exigera de la MFA que la saison footballistique, cette fois-ci, aille jusqu'au bout, pandémie ou pas?
Monsieur le Président, j'ai déjà répondu à la question par rapport à l'organisation du championnat. Le championnat avait été annulé à la suite d'une réunion du Managing Committee de la MFA. Donc, c'est le Managing Committee de la MFA qui prend toutes ces décisions. De toutes les façons, pour la nouvelle saison et pour les allocations que nous allons remettre bientôt, les discussions sont encore en cours. Certainement, il y aura des changements. Donc, nous attendons d'avoir que les officiers aient terminé avec les différentes discussions, puisque nous rencontrons en ce moment toutes les fédérations, pas uniquement le football, mais toutes les fédérations, pour voir un peu leurs différents plans pour l'année en cours.
The question has been sufficiently conversed. Move on to your next question.
B794, please.
Mr. Speaker, at the very outset, I wish to inform the House that the setting up of a national database for vulnerable groups was announced in the budget speech 2020-2021. Once this measure was announced, my ministry initiated consultations to work out the applicable threshold for family to be eligible under the national database. However, in July 2020, immediately after the budget speech 2020-2021, my ministry embarked on a recertification exercise of existing eligible households on the social register of Mauritius. Following the recertification exercise, the government took the decision to review the poverty threshold in order to cap vulnerable families on our database. I wish to inform the House that the exercise to review the poverty threshold and to work out the applicable threshold for the national database for vulnerable groups had to be worked out concurrently. To that effect, several consultative meetings were held with the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, my ministry, and the Statistics Mauritius. On 9th April 2021, government approved the following threshold. The poverty threshold was revised from 2,720 to 3,000 for an adult, and from 1,360 to 1,500 for a child. The maximum threshold was capped at 10,500 instead of 9,520. As for the national database for vulnerable groups, households earning a monthly income between 10,500 and 14,000 will be eligible for support. In the budget speech 2021-2022, the revised poverty threshold and the threshold for the national database for vulnerable groups were announced. My ministry is currently working on the modalities for the implementation of both measures. A communique will soon be issued to invite households to register on the social register of Mauritius and the national database for vulnerable groups in due course.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Peut-on savoir si ces familles qui vont tomber dans la catégorie 10 500, 14 000 vont aussi bénéficier des mêmes services de la NEF que ceux dont les revenus s'arrêtent à 10 500?
Oui. Yes, a very good question, Honourable Member. So, well, they will be provided with the same types with the same types, I must say, of assistance provided to SRM beneficiaries, except financial assistance. They will get all the support in the field of education, training, family empowerment. However, I must also add that the assistance will be provided on a need basis.
Le Président, l'honorable ministre, vient de confirmer qu'une campagne de communication, je pense, pour informer la population et en particulier les familles tombant dans cette catégorie. Peut-on savoir quel type de campagne qui sera mise en place, quel type de campagne de communication?
Well, we are presently working on the modalities. There will be press communique, there will be talks on the radio, on TV, and I think since it is a new measure, it will be good if we can reach out to many vulnerable groups as possible. So our intention is good, so we will try to have a very extensive sensitization, effective sensitization campaign so that, all those who are in difficulties can reach out to us and be registered on the national database for vulnerable groups.
The next substantive question.
B795.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that as per Statistics Mauritius, the unemployed youth aged between 16 to 24 years in the first quarter of 2021 was estimated at 18,600 compared to 17,300 at the first quarter of 2020. This shows an increase in youth unemployment rate in the first quarter of 2021 to 31.5% compared to 23.5% in the corresponding quarter of 2020, which is equivalent roughly to 1,300 youth. According to ILO, globally the participation rate of young people in the labor force has continued to decline. There are structural barriers preventing young people from entering the labor market, one of which is their limited work experience. As such, the youth need to be skilled to acquire the required competencies for employability. With a view to addressing the current youth unemployment issue, my ministry has initiated the following measures. The National Training and Reskilling Scheme has been introduced with a view to skilling and reskilling 6,000 individuals who have lost their jobs due to COVID pandemic, as well as those who are unemployed, including youth. The National Skills Development Program, implemented in 2016, continues to facilitate training and placement of unemployed persons, including youth. The NSDP has been mounted to promote employment. The Graduate Training for Employment Scheme, GTEX, which was introduced some 5 years ago, has proven to be an effective tool to combat unemployment amongst graduates. It aims at upskilling and reskilling existing unemployed graduates based on immediate skills needs of enterprises. The Mauritius Institute of Training and Development, operating under the aegis of my ministry, has introduced the National Apprenticeship Program to enable youth to be skilled and to acquire the required competencies for employability. The Youth Employment Program provides the youth with first-hand work experience to increase their chances of employability. The YEP has been revamped and gives young persons the possibility to acquire working experience not only in private sector, but in the public sector as well. The Training Engineer Scheme, which is an ongoing training program, provides graduates in different fields of engineering and those possessing the eligibility criteria from the Council of Registered Professional Engineers to be placed in either public body or private sector to undergo training in order to qualify for registration under the CRP of Mauritius and thereafter operate as full-fledged engineers. The dual training program provides for a mix of practical on-job training and classroom studies for diploma and degree courses. Furthermore, the Employment Service of my ministry is also providing a helping hand to the unemployed youth as well as other job seekers for the various programs put at their disposal. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition to the above-mentioned measures, I wish to inform the House that other government institutions, namely the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Sport and Recreation, the Financial Services Commission, the Financial Services Institute Mauritius, the SME, and Service to Mauritius are also providing training and placement programs, thus facilitating the employment of young persons.
Monsieur le Président, l'honorable ministre, dans sa réponse, a fait état du National Apprenticeship Programme qui avait été annoncé dans le budget 2021-2022. Et peut-il nous donner des détails sur les 750 apprentis qui devraient être formés par le biais de ce programme?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, HRDC is responsible for this program. The National Apprenticeship Program trainees is a dual program with youth spending their time dually at the MITD and at participating enterprises level, thus significantly improving their employment. Since 2018, 2,952 apprentices have completed their courses and some of them are still enrolled, and the program is ongoing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can we know from the Honourable Minister, he mentioned about the YEP, Youth Employment Program. Can we know how many youth are actually enrolled on this program, and what are the future plans of the ministry for this program?
I can give you figures for a year as at 30th of June 2021. That is, youth employment programs are program designed for either a year or two. So as at 30th of June 2021, there are 605 trainees who have been placed in the private sector, and 505 are actually benefiting from training in the public sector.
Last supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. A lot of the young unemployed are suffering because they're staying home and doing nothing. Will the Honourable Minister consider having a system where a youth who is unemployed can get psychological assistance from his ministry in the time where he's not employed?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Career Guidance Department of my ministry is providing this service, and we are providing assistance to young unemployed persons.
I suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.